Okay. Jump down this order for me. Okay. So why do we believe that the valence electrons of calcium and potassium reside in the 4s orbital rather than in the 3d orbital? So just as a recollection, as a reminder here, so for H, our energy levels are given by minus R over N squared. And so N here is our principal quantum number. And it ranges from 1 up. So those are the values that N takes. They're all integer and non-zero. L is our orbital quantum number, or azimuthal, and it equals 0 up to n minus 1. So for a given n, your L can only go up to n minus 1. And these labels are these numbers are what we usually use for our SPD labels. So L equals 0 is S, L equals 1 is P, L equals 2 is D, L equals 3 is F. Now, if we look at this equation, we see that for an H atom, energy only depends on 1 over n, or 1 over n squared, I should say. So L doesn't come into play, right? So that means that a 3s, a 3p, and a 3d orbital all have the same energy, right? A 4s, 4p, 4d, same energy. And so in a hydrogen atom, it doesn't matter what the L is, it only matters what the N is. Now for multi-electron atoms like calcium or potassium, L does start to matter, and so our energies do shift, but N is still, this equation still roughly holds, so our energies are going to increase with 1 over the principal number in multi-electron atoms, but L is now going to have an effect as electron repulsion starts to become a factor as we start to fill up these larger and larger atoms. Now how we can account for these easily or remember them is given by Madelung's rule, which states that orbitals are filled up by n plus L. And for states with the same n plus L, then we go by n. So so that means we fill a 4s orbital, which is n equals 4, L equals 0, before we fill a 3d, which is n equals 3, L equals 2, right? So 3 plus 2 equals 5. 4 plus 0 equals 4. So 4s comes before 3d, and of course this comes before a4p, which is n equals 4, L equals 1. So 4 plus 1 equals 5, but the n is lower. And this is just to take into account the fact that electron repulsion is now becoming a thing, and sometimes it's better to fill up these higher L orbitals before we fill up lower L orbitals, as long as we're not paying too high an energy cost, which would be represented by the N value. Okay, so Magellan's rule, we fill by N plus L first, so 4S is 4, 3D is 5. Okay, so that looks good.